Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AI for Anyone Live, the weekly live show with the Human Stack, where we make AI accessible and actionable for nonprofits and social impact organizations. I am Sami Zoss.
And I am Tim Lockie, and today we are putting it all together. Everything we've learned about Claude in the last month, we're building something with it. So, Sami, I'm ready when you are.
Awesome. Let's get to it. You guys are stuck with these glasses today because I can't find my other ones. You like our little intro, Tim? I was so excited to preview it last week, and then
I do. I think it's great. Um, yeah, I do. Um, what do you mean we're stuck with those glasses? Are they hideous or something?
they actually don't work as well for me, to be honest. It's more like I'm stuck with these glasses. My other ones, I think,
That's what I
are
was
over.
gonna say, but then you beat me to it. So,
It's really
yeah.
unfortunate. How you doing? We missed you last week.
Yeah, and everybody who tuned in last week, thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry I missed you. I am up in Bellingham now, so I'm going to be here next
Bellingham.
week as well. Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, so up.
I did not know that was in Washington.
Oh yeah, no, Bellingham is really cool. They call it Beham, a lot of people. So there you go.
Beham.
Yeah, totally. But this has been a crazy month with
Yeah.
Claude, right?
It's been
So
insane.
marching
Hey,
into Claude.
really quickly, I know we're talking about Claude today, but you know what news I saw this morning?
No.
Sora is being discontinued.
I saw that, right? Did they say why? I did not. I just saw it
It's just
flash up and I was like,
money.
oh,
It's a money dump. There's no way, like they haven't monetized it, and they've seen what's
they're not going
happened
to win.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at Claude, they have focused, like there is no, I mean, I talked about this last week. I know it got cut off. It was last week's kind of weird. It got like cut off when Jonathan Edwards joined actually, but I even talked to Jonathan last week about how frustrated I was that like I can't figure out how to make Claude make good illustrations because it's not necessarily a demonstrative generator, and Claude still has a competitive valuation against ChatGPT that has all of that and more, and it's just not churning. It's like ChatGPT is trying to hit your daily users, and Claude's trying to say like, no, I'm like your productivity tool, and it shows. And I think that, I mean, that's all speculation, right, about like why they did it, but I think that's why.
Yeah, no question. I think that um, you get to a place where you stop being like where the chat function is no longer enough. Maybe that's the best way to say it. It's still
Yeah,
amazing, still really interesting, but that just isn't hitting it anymore because you can't productize it. So like the productivity part with the product part, right? Both elements
yeah.
of that word. And
Hmm.
I think that is what I'm feeling more and more as I dig into the programmatic side of AI. Is I want it to
Yeah.
actually I want it to live inside of a harness on rails that is creating predictable, delightful outcomes, right? Like still surprise me, but surprise me consistently. That's the predictability part, right? So, and I
I was
find
just
that more with
shocked that
Claude than
it's
anything
only
else.
been, Sora's been live for 6 months.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is a quick turnaround.
That's forever ago. I
You're
think that's
right.
the thing that is what's crazy is that 6 months is like
That's
five
so true.
years, right?
I sorry. That caught me off guard. Oh my gosh, I
I'm
felt
sorry,
it.
but that
Like,
is the cutest sneeze I've ever seen in my life.
which is so funny
So
because I am as like masculine a woman as like I can come off, right? Like I've got a deep voice. I hold a lot of, like I take a lot of big space, and my sneezes always sounded like that. And it took a really long time for my friends to like who are like they were new friends, you know, to be like that's fake, right? And I'm like, I honestly at this point like I wish it was so I didn't sound
That
like that in the one aspect
is
of my life.
hilarious.
Ridiculous.
Oh
It's
my
like that's the only thing
gosh.
dainty about me is my sneeze.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Oh
is
shoot.
that's really fun to
Um,
discover on a live. So to folks, thanks for tuning in to see Sammy's cute
that's
sneezes.
gonna be a fun little clip for us.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Lisa
thanks,
completely
Lisa.
agrees. Completely agree. That was the cutest sneeze. Yeah,
Usually I
absolutely.
try to like mute by the time it happens, but it just caught me
Uh,
so
yeah,
quick
no,
today.
I'm sorry, but that is definitely going to be the best part of my day, hands
Oh, I
down. So,
love it. That's so
um,
funny.
okay, so here's the question I've been thinking about a lot. Why is everybody moving to Claude? Like, I've got my question. I've got my thoughts on it. We've talked about some of it, but I think the thing I'm surprised about is that you and I spend a lot of time in AI every day. And so I'm used to seeing there being a long tail between when we start seeing movement and when it actually hits. And
Yeah,
this
I mean,
one's
you and I have been playing for the max
sooner
plan
than
on
I
Claude
expected.
for how many months now?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I feel like I've been expecting this to take about another 8 months or something before people saw it. And then
Mhm.
I think it was just co-work and Claude Code, the combination of those two things. So
Which is so interesting because that requires you download the desktop version, which is it sort of I feel like it was that official like final indicator that like not only is AI not going anywhere, which you and I and many others like we're not unique in our opinion that we've known that for a while. But I think the world started to see how integrated this was becoming in others and they were either like it
mhm,
was the final like sort of get off the pot moment.
mhm.
And that plus, sorry, did you giggle at me or is there something else
I
going on?
just, I feel, I'm glad you didn't say the word shit like right out there in front of everybody. That would
I
have
would
been
never
horrible
say
if
the
you
word
had.
shit right out there in front of everybody
Exactly.
like that. It's ridiculous. Crass even. Certainly not dainty.
Not
Um
dainty at all. Not dainty.
I lost my train of thought. Give me a second.
No, no,
The
no. I might take over. I think.
co-work,
Yeah.
no, co-work, because it took me a while to crack co-work. I mean, even Tim, you and I
Yeah.
had talked about it a little bit, and it was actually a friend of mine that did a demo on how he uses co-work that I was like, wait a minute. And then it was right after that demo that you and I had an upskillerator where you talked about it and our group was sort of talking about how they were using it. And I was like,
Mhm.
this changes
Yeah.
everything. And what it meant is if it was the same reason why you and I really dove into Cassidy right away was because it not commoditized, but it made it accessible to do multi workflow, multi agent operations and see how like scheduling out tasks or how like I've got my cowork now connected to my Fireflies. So when I have a question about a meeting, I don't need to go to the Notion database that I'd started to build because my AI will just search directly into the software that's recording my meetings. I don't need to then archive those somewhere else as well now. So it's just it changed the game.
Yeah. 100%. The thing that I've watched over time is that when like at first it was how do you get it to remember anything at all, right? Early GPT. And then it was how do you prompt?
That's adorable.
And then it was context engineering. And I think right now what's on the rise is um is memory, and what's coming after memory is intent. And I think that that's like those two pieces together kind of create the whole protein for using AI. And then when you put that on a stopwatch, right? So that you can start that
Mhm.
whenever, then you've really been able to go full circuit on creating a way of identifying here's what I want it to do, here is what it should remember when it's trying to do that, here's the crispy edge of where it's working right now in current state, and then here
Yeah.
is the here's the time that that's going to happen, right? If you combine all of those pieces together, you really have a reproducible amount of really smart work. I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of what I'm working on right now for myself. And so I think that that's, yeah.
I think
Okay,
one
so
thing you and
this
I
is,
are learning is the big difference between the max plan and other plans as well. And I think it's important to like at least note that as you and I talk about some of the things that we do. Cowork is a great example. You can get cowork on the regular paid plan. You do have to have a paid plan, but you hit limits really quickly. You know, there's some of that stuff. The other piece is because we don't hit limits, we explore a lot farther. Like we take things a
yeah,
lot farther. There is still that need that you and I are privileged to not have, which is we don't have to go to another AI source to like work this out before we put it into the one that's going to
yeah,
finally implement. And I
yeah,
think that's important. It's also why that like nonprofit price really was an important thing for us to like call out. And I will say it's not easy to get. I did try after our episode where we talked about the nonprofit pricing. I was trying to like see how I would get it for the South Dakota Nonprofit Network. Um, just to like see, right? So then because my goal is if I build all of their infrastructure in there, whoever takes over after me, right,
yep,
has it all right in Claude. I can't get it. I can't figure it out. And I don't know. Maybe it's something I'll try to maybe next week if I still haven't figured it out. I know April's got a different theme, but
yeah,
maybe we'll just find one week every month that we just get to steal it and be like whatever ancillary topic we want. So we've got like a
exactly.
theme for the month for the most part. And then one week where we just get to be like, what are we gonna do today, Tim? What do you think?
I feel like that just happens no matter what. Like we can just say
No,
that,
we're so
whatever.
organized.
Yes, exactly. Right. So organized. And stay on topic. That's the other thing. I also talk
Always.
about only one thing at a time.
And it's
Okay,
always
so
relevant to everybody.
it's relevant to my interests every single time. So
See, people think that this is like a ploy for the human stack. And don't get me wrong, I love the
yeah,
human stack for
yeah.
giving us this platform, but you and I, when we committed
Mm.
to AI for Anyone Live, it had to be under the guise that it always had to be live, mostly
Yeah,
had to be live. We'll do some like
yeah,
if we get a chance to interview friggin' Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, I'll pre-record whatever I need to pre-record.
sure. Yeah,
Right?
fair.
Like some of
Good
that
point.
stuff.
Glad we'll make
But
that
generally
concession.
speaking, we want it to be as genuine and as us that morning as we are. Like, for
Yeah,
example, I don't know if you guys noticed, but like, obviously, Tim's in a whole different location. Today, my energy, like, it's coming back up. But I like my poor dog. She's got a lump and I'm just nervous about it. She's
oh
going to be fine.
no.
It's fine, but she's a tripod. So she's missing a front
Sure.
leg and it's under the other leg. And I'm like, she doesn't need to lose. Like, how is she going to
Oh
exist
my
without that one?
gosh.
So, like, in
Wait,
my
is
mind,
I'm
that's all
sorry,
I'm
but
thinking about.
I is it diagonal or like,
The leg?
well, the other leg? Does that mean is
No.
it
Well, yeah. When she
okay?
walks, it does kind of go right in the center
Okay.
because it's her
All
front
right,
leg.
cool. I will follow up on the mechanics of this
Yeah,
because my
sorry.
brain
I
won't
just
let
wanted
it
to
along.
like
But yeah, yeah,
point out that that was what you and I that's what we committed to, right? Like we show up
yeah,
as we are, as we're learning alongside you. Like, yes, I will always say that Tim and I are going to be farther along than the average nonprofit practitioner that's trying to use AI better. But that's what makes us good at this piece. And the informality and the genuine way in which we show up is so important to our own philosophy and our own
yeah,
approach to how we do it. Because if I'm like, I used AI to help me figure out, is this something I need to drop everything today and bring my dog to the vet? Because my vet's an hour away. So I'm like, do I need
yeah,
to drop everything right now? Like, and that's also the most like stereotypical white girl from Midwest. Like, my dog is my everything. And
yeah.
that is,
I
I
think
will
that's a
live in that
lot.
trope. I will.
I think that is fairly universal. Okay, but I do want. Okay,
Ah,
I do want to
that might
talk
be the
about
Montana in you speaking.
that. Could be that's okay. So there's a lot there. We should do a pet show. Um,
Woo! Yeah, I'd love that. We'll do that.
but
But yes,
okay,
sorry, and I didn't mean to go all the way into that. Lisa, she's like,
I
"What
know
on
you
earth?"
said.
That's what we mean, Lisa. We're not good at
Yes,
it.
exactly.
So let's
Okay,
talk about
so I
Claude.
do want to talk about. Yeah. Okay, you can start.
Actually, I want to grab my coffee, which is behind my computer screen right now. So you go ahead
Okay,
and
I'll
start,
start.
Tim.
Yeah, no, that's great. I want to do just a quick rundown for people who are new to Claude about kind of high to low what to expect on it. So this is going to be a quick Claude cheat sheet. So Claude is one of the frontier models that you can sign up for. It has a nonprofit discount. The discount is really significant, and it allows you to get something called Claude Max, which is basically almost unlimited Claude. That's $50 a month. Non or for profits like me pay $200 a month. So that is a per person cost of $50 a month that is really helpful, really good. There are three different levels of Claude that you can use, like three different models inside of Claude. One is Haiku. This is all named on literature stuff. Haiku is great for really fast things. So if you need a quick answer, it doesn't take a lot of compute time. It is really inexpensive to use, and that's important when you're using these models. So Haiku for really simple stuff is like the eco mode in cars. Then there's Sonnet. That's like everyday use driving, and that's just where it's a really good writer. It's a decent thinker, but then Opus is like the smartest, most expensive, really premier model in there. I ignored Opus for a really long time because I didn't really think that it was going to be that helpful. And Sonnet was such a good writer. And when you're using writing, Sonnet is a really good one. When you move to it needing to run through complex ideas, move to Opus, and learning how to navigate between those three models is really helpful. So those are the three models. You
I
can
love it.
use Claude on the web with Claude.ai, or you can use Claude on a desktop. That's not a Chrome extension download app thing. There's literally a place you go to download Claude onto your desktop. When you do that,
I'll
it
find that link.
unlocks Cowork, which is basically Claude with a stopwatch that focuses on tasks. It's really, really helpful. And if you're like not a developer, not someone that spends a lot of time inside of computers and you don't want to, that's probably as far as you should go with Claude. Learn those parts of it really well. For those that want to take one step further into the matrix, uh, download Claude Code and run it off of your terminal, and it will be a junior developer for you that will like just do a lot of behind the scenes work inside your computer. And that's my cheat sheet on Claude. Sammy, what did I miss?
I will say one of the things that people like most freak out about first is the idea that like we hear things like terminal. I feel like I just learned what terminal was like 2 weeks ago and I've been using it for a year. So like if I could tell you the most important takeaway, it is start where you're familiar and then Claude actually I think did one of the smartest things. I don't know if you caught this, Tim. It installed a skill uniformly across every Claude that they update on Claude capabilities. So
Mm.
I can ask Claude, and we learned about skills and connections last week. And actually, Jonathan Edwards popped on later and gave some really fun, like little cheats. So we'll have to like almost make like a mini clip of some of the
Oh,
stuff
that
that
would be
happened after we got
great.
cut off.
Yeah,
And if people,
absolutely.
really quickly, if people want to catch the end of that episode, we did post the expanded version on YouTube. So we clipped it all together. We just hit record again and just kept going. But anyway, so what I do when I'm like, so for example, there's everyone, not everyone, we are hearing this thing called OpenClaw. We're not going to get into that here today, but it has kind of like freaked me out a little bit, right? Like, because there's a lot of security risks with it. But I know the power that it can bring to like a multi-agentic workflow in a way that like co-work is even limited. I was like, what do I do? Like, how do I install this in a safe way? And so my default, and I know your default often, Tim, is like we ask the AI. Well, Claude is uniquely positioned to answer questions about its own capabilities now in a way that like it hadn't been before. And so if you're like, I think I want to download Claude Desktop, you could literally ask your chats. Like if you've been using it pretty consistently, ask your chats and say, hey, I'm wondering, do you think I would benefit from the Claude Desktop download based on what we've discussed? Based on how I utilize Claude, or based on what you know about me, what ways should I be using Claude that I'm not? And to be completely honest, you guys, you don't have to only do that with Claude. I know Claude knows its own skill set best because they have literally installed a skill that they update. But for what that's worth, like you can absolutely just ask any AI, like, hey, how can I use this tool or any other tool better based on what you know about me?
Hmm.
I did that. Great example. I did it on Claude Cowork last night. I've got it connected to like my email and I showed everybody how to do this last week, how to connect the MCP to their Gmail, their calendar, and like search this and add this to my calendar, some of that stuff. I last night had you know me, if I could do free work all day every day I would. And so I told cowork, I was like, I need you with the finest tooth comb and the most scrutiny. Spend all night if you have to. I'm going to go to bed. I need you to spend all night if you have to and come up with 10 foolproof ways to get me passive income to cover every single bill plus some by the end of this year. And then I kind of gave it like because I want to be able to just do this work without worrying about like, is it enough to pay my bills kind of deal. Right? Like that's my dream. So that I can just do all the stuff that people ask me to do and I don't have to be like, hey, sorry, I need to make more money. And I woke up this morning and I'm not going to pretend that it was perfect, but it gave me a really good base to start with of, okay, one, here's the limitations on what it does and doesn't know about me, because it had to do a really thorough search of a lot of things, right? It's got access to over 800 meetings over the last 5 years of my life, which is awesome. But it also means like it's going to get context wrong. It's not cross-referencing in ways that I want. And it gave me, if nothing else, it was a great way for me to see, okay, it doesn't recognize that I work with the human stack and then I work with the human stack's clients, right? So when I work with Ascendably for the human stack, it gets very confused.
Yep.
Rightfully so. Honestly, same, Claude. Don't worry about it. But you know what I mean? Like, what a great example of like, how do you really do have to massage that nuance out but what a great starting point. If nothing else, that did hours of work of me sitting here thinking, brainstorming, looking up passive income models, looking up active income models, and trying to figure out like, what can I do to make my income sustainable so I can work on this stuff. And our nonprofit practitioners, think about what you can do for the nonprofit service offering that you have, right? So think of it like it's got all the context of your organization. And you say, hey, how can I use Claude better to create passive income for my nonprofit? Ask any questions that you need, but before you ask any questions, you better dig to see if you have those answers first.
Yeah.
I mean, I want a nonprofit to do that and come back to us and tell us what they got. Right?
Yep.
Like,
Me too. Yes.
insane. I did one thing we promised folks was sort of like how we utilize some of these skills. And I showed them the human stack brand skill that I built I built it a while back. But I want to show folks that this is how quickly you can utilize some of the stuff that we've talked about this month. I'm going to share my screen here really quick. And you're going to see, all right, here before I open this, I just put in
so
here.
Cool.
Give me a demonstrative that I spelled wrong to explain the different Claude models / levels to demo on a live show, AI for Anyone Live for nonprofits. Use the human stack brand skill, right? So then it was like, let me start reading the relevant skill files so you can see that it used the human stack brand skill. And I'd like to go into how we can build this one today, because I may even find the conversation where I built it, because I don't know how much I put in versus it found on the internet for me. Because this was back when I was bugging you every morning about like, someone send me the hex codes for the human stack. And you would always send me to your stupid media site. And I'm like, your colors aren't on there, Tim. Stressing me out. And then it's like, okay, it has a front end design skill. This is one that Claude just had. That, or I've downloaded it somewhere and I didn't know, which is completely possible. It's got a file skill. I know it's got that because you and I have been really diving into utilizing the creation. Oh my gosh, good morning, Subash. You guys, he's the best human ever. I'm going to just put up his little one while I keep talking. Okay. So then here's your demo, 4-tab interactive walkthrough with our branding. And it even like gave me the overview, right? So it confirmed, hey, I use the teal, persimmon, the yellow, the right logos, the right fonts, etc. Walked me through it a little bit here. Oh, and it even added in some API pricing, right? So then if I look at it over here while it loads, understanding Claude's model teals, a friendly nonprofit guide to picking the right AI model. We do need to be better about like, I need to just pop up a site after each month that just has these things on it. Like if we're going to build it, we might as well make sure the world has
have a place for you to do that now.
So I think we talked about that before. Yes. I need to be better about it though.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
But so like this very much really is in line with what Tim said, right? Like for the longest time you were using Sonnet because you were doing more writing. You were doing more. I'm going to move us off to the side here so people can see it a little bit more.
Good. Yeah. Thanks.
Some of that stuff. And I love that I gave it that. I was debating on whether or not I give it the Q for nonprofits because I was like, is it gonna get confused? Is it gonna mess something up, basically? By trying to be too focused on nonprofits. I don't think it did. And I love, like, it gave, here's a nice little head-to-head comparison on all of the different dimensions. Love this. Available on the free plan. I didn't even realize Opus 4.6 was only pro plan. And that's not the max plan. That's not what Tim and I are on. That's just the paid plan, right?
Yep.
Like, gosh, this is the car
It was really
analogy.
good.
What is this?
Mm-hmm.
Tim's favorite way to explain tech.
Yeah,
Apparently, you use cars a lot to explain
I
tech.
do use cars a lot because I used to do I did use, but this has got it kind of wrong. This is like three different vehicle types. That's not like, to me, that's the difference between Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT. Inside the car, once you're in it, there are three different modes, right?
Oh,
So
quit it. This
there's
is cool.
eco mode, eco mode. There, no, 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 yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm just
I
saying,
don't even
like,
know what eco mode is. You're talking to old people.
okay, wait. Do you know what sport mode is? You've been in a car that has sport mode.
I've been in a car that has sport mode. I couldn't tell you what it is.
Okay. Well, I think this is perfect. I love what this is saying exactly what I wanted it to say. Like hand, hands down. I am not crossing my fingers as I say that. Not a bit. So
Oh,
that's
you're
like
such a
perfect.
brat. Ooh, let's look at the scenarios it gave us. Real nonprofit scenarios. Which model
Oh,
would you pick?
cool.
Sorting incoming emails. Your info at inbox gets 200 emails a day. You need to categorize them. Use Haiku. Crafting a grant narrative. Use Sonnet. Board meeting report. Use Sonnet. Interesting. Appeal letter. Sonnet. Cleaning donor data. I think I want to add a little asterisk to that one. A few. One, always be conscientious of personally identifiable information that you're putting into anything, AI or otherwise. We talk about this a lot, especially with Claude. Not always, like, if you are on the Claude for Nonprofits team account per the security and agreement of your organization, that's one thing you should know what your rules are there. If you are on your own account, realistically, unless you've got explicit permission from your organization, you should not be putting your donor data anywhere near your personal stuff. You can use this to brainstorm other ways. But I do just want to add that. But let's say we're on an enterprise team account, so security is not an issue. I would argue that this is the limit of donor data that I would put into cleanup. If it was any more nuanced than that, I would have used Opus. Do you agree? Right now it says imported 4,000 donor records, need to standardize names, phone number formats, and flag duplicates. Fairly
Um,
complex, but I don't trust Haiku very much. So I don't know if I'm privileged in my
no,
access. And so,
no, Haiku would do this really well because this isn't like, this is a Python script behind the scenes. All it's doing is evaluating, like, it's not saying, is this the right donor? It's saying, does it have a capitalization at the right spot? And does
okay.
it have parentheses in the phone number? Like, it really is just focusing on formatting. That is donor cleaning. And that is stuff that really bugs me on a mailing list. If I get like all caps, right, or something,
True.
it's
And why does
it's
that bother us
dumb,
too?
but
It's
it
a whole
actually
nother.
makes a difference. So data standardization is actually one of the best tools for it because it takes time, it's an annoyance, and you can sand that issue out of your CRM quickly with just a recurring, like, hop in, fix this, hop out, right? That
Mhm.
10 of those things running data cleanups on different tables that you've got could make a massive difference.
So Tim, how would you, let's say this is one thing that I've always wanted to ask, and I haven't quite figured out what my answer would be. I would really take it nonprofit by nonprofit. So knowing that there's that caveat, if someone were to say, hey, I want to use this to clean up my donor data, I've got permission from my org, but I can't put personally identifiable information in. My question to you is, here's what I would suggest in that process. You tell me what you think. And I'm really interested in what others think too. Love that Megan joined us. Sorry, I was looking at Lisa's Pinto Prius Porsche. I don't know what a Pinto is. Um, I would suggest to them, there's a few different
The type
ways.
of
The
bean,
cleanest, what?
type of bean.
I'm assuming she was not talking
Pinto.
about the pinto bean. The worst. Um, God
Thank
damn
you,
it. I was
Lisa.
so
I'm
on. I
going
was so on. So if like Camp Gilbert
yeah.
or Roots Ethiopia, right? If Megan had her personal Claude but had permission and she was, she was okay to use her Claude to clean up data, we just had to avoid the personally identifiable information. Could she, in theory, say like I would have her anonymize the names, so like come up with some key so you know who is who, whether you're using a donor ID or some way to like map it back to the person without identifying who that person is within the interwebs. And then you could realistically fix phone formats there. And in another one, you could use, I just don't know if I would split this up into multiple chats. So it's like one chat is fixing phone formats. I figured it was a car, Lisa. I just like to make fun of Tim. She's like, you guys, I'm never joining again. Oh gosh. I don't know. I mean, how would you suggest someone go about that? What do we mean when we say PII, right? Because a phone number is personally identifiable information. He's replying
End of
to
the day,
Lisa.
Pinto kidney and refried. These are the models.
Jesus.
Now we are off of cars and into different bean types, right? And
Ew.
here's where I'm going to land on that. The human stack focuses on human beings.
Which is great. Now answer my question.
Thank you, Lisa. That made me so happy. Okay. Um, the way so this is when understanding what's happening becomes really important. The risk on PII inside of models, there are a couple of different risks here, right? So the biggest risk always is cybersecurity, and the biggest leak in cybersecurity is always humans clicking on stuff they shouldn't and using the same password for everything as a sticky note, or even worse, as a document on their desktop called passwords, right? This is the security risk we should actually be worried about. That's the real problem with humans and data, not LLMs. I'm just going to shout
Hmm.
that from the rooftops over and over because we need to be clear about the risk types here. When it comes to putting the big fear people have about putting this data into models is the training data, right? They're worried that this is going to get trained on. And what they've heard is that if you train on this data, then people can just feel, they can just, like, somebody could go out and type a donor's name and it would just be like, they're donating to Big Brothers and Sisters of Big Sky or something, right? That is a
Which is funny because
perception
you
risk.
can kind of Google your way to that today without
Yes,
training.
yes, A, that's my point. But B, fixing someone's name in a list is not going to get them there. That's not what's happening. So I feel like the real issue here is that people don't understand and they can't identify what the actual risk portfolio is around this. So I'm not saying it's good to throw all your donor data in LLMs. What I am saying is what you need to be clear about is which type of security you're running. So
Yeah.
it's more about how much you pay than about what data you put in there. So
Well,
if
and
you're
that's
on a
kind of what I was
team
trying to get
plan, you're
at
on
is,
enterprise, and they're not training on that.
well, absolutely. And I think like when in doubt, one of the best ways to do it is to just anonymize the data. So use your donor IDs instead of names. Use like, and then the sort of like rule of thumb that I give people if they're like asking me in an event where like we're all like networking and I can't like actually have a full conversation with them about it is anonymize the data as much as you can. And if you can't Google your way, even the really good Google, right? Like there are plenty of things you can find if you're a really good Googler, like
Yes.
where you donated, right? Like that is public
Yeah.
knowledge to an extent.
Hmm.
And addresses are public knowledge. Like there's pieces that are or they are not protected. It's not like you're not putting someone's social security number in here. You're not putting this like private information that wouldn't be able to be found otherwise.
But I want to be really clear. If you are putting it into a Google Drive, which people would do, right?
Mhm.
And that wouldn't be bad. If you're storing sensitive donor information inside a Google Drive. Everybody does that
or
all day
Microsoft
long.
Excel.
Or Microsoft, exactly, inside of those platforms. I think that we need to be clear, like, they already have access to that information. And so, again, in maybe the best way to think about this is every organization should have a base model and then kind of their boutique model, right? In their base model, they do all of the kind of stuff that we're talking about right now. Set up a scheduler inside of, you know, Google Sheets and have this done in Google Sheets because the data is probably already living in there, right?
Mhm.
If you're worried about that piece, and then run all of your all your analysis in Cloud Code. Like that's another way to think about it. I
Yeah.
just I just want to keep pounding on the idea that the big risk here is that we're using PII and AI models. The big risk is that we're using the same password. That's the big risk, A. And B, like there's a large perception risk that is a non-real risk in not it's not a non-real, it's a non-zero risk. So you can't say we can't guarantee that this isn't going to do something, but we're not asking what percentage of likelihood is it. And it is like less than one tenth of a half of a percent, right? But it's
Mhm.
non-zero. So I don't know. Is that helpful? I know this is my soapbox I get on all the time, but we
No,
just have
it
to
is.
understand what risk we're looking at.
I just think it's a little more advanced than people are ready to, like, answer to yet, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
still just such an unknown
Yeah, that's
that
true. That's fair.
like, because you and I, we get that, right? Like, I get that it's n I'm not risking anything more than I do when I send a text. When I tell you, "Hey, Tim lives here, can I like, what's the closest shop for me to get him something today?" Right? Like,
Okay, I'm gonna change here. Can I just give the rule that we should be talking about, Sammy?
you
We should
can
be
because I'm
talking about.
building our brand skill over here,
All
so we've
right,
got time.
cool. That's great. That's like the most thing ever. The rule on it should be A, know what your base model is. That's going to either
Mhm.
be Copilot or Gemini, right? And then B, only use PII in those models. If we had that as the rule, it would align with the security models that are already in place at the contractual level with these tier models. That's what we should be saying instead of don't put PII in models. That's too broad. What we need to say is only use PII in your base models. That would be the
Okay.
rule. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, and maybe there's something for us to consider in the future, like a future episode of like, and maybe we could use like Camp Gilbert or something where we can use like some of our donors that I know are very like open, like our board members and things that are open to their names being on here, and we can use
Yeah.
we can get some data that is as close to real as possible. What's funny is I'm more nervous about putting like my address on this live than I am about putting it into AI ever. To give
Yeah.
people like the framework there. And that's training
Yeah.
data on or not for all I care. Like
Right.
the world can
Yeah.
find my address. I don't need to put it on a video for some rando to
Right.
find it.
Yeah. Right. Totally.
um I think it'd be interesting, and Tim, I do think this is something that the human stack really could lead in some ways, similar to how we did the policy, the unfuck your AI policy. Like I think it would be helpful for people to see here's what we mean when we say this is okay. Like a true like it
Hmm.
starts, and this is maybe just how you and I process, but it starts with like a demo where we're literally showing people this is what we mean. And it
Hmm.
ends in a here's what a policy language can look like in that. Here is
Yeah.
the only
Right.
other thing that's not considered there is there's so many folks that have their own AI that they use for work.
You mean personal AI?
Yeah. So like
Yes.
I've
So
got
that
my
is
Claude.
exactly what, right. So the rule here gets around that. And this is why I want to say it, that your base model, what people should know is if you're logging in with your work address, you're in the base model. Not sorry, if you're logging into either Copilot or
Mm.
Google Workspace with your, work email address, that's a workspace.
Oh, that's what you meant by base model. Yeah, we should call it your
That's what I
workspace
mean
model.
by,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So your base model is the one that your organization's using for your business app. So there's either Copilot or Gemini. I've never met anybody that is in a different system than one of those two. They have enterprise level contracts that guarantee how the data is being used and that they're not storing it. That this is what
And
I'm
that is
saying is
true
that
even if you are not paying for that big fancy enterprise price.
yes, yes, the enterprise. So perfect. Yes, well said, Sammy. So I think that that's to me that's the I want to make this a really simple rule everybody can remember, which is you can use PII inside. I mean, the court like me, it is safe to use PII inside of your base model, which is the one you're paying for with an enterprise level security agreement
Mhm. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
of the contract. Again, it goes back to this is the contract,
Mhm.
right? So is
And then
that helpful? Does that make more
it
sense?
is. My brain works in artifacts, as we know, and so I'm like, okay, how do I build what this looks like in my you know what I mean? I'm like,
Your brain does work
I
in
see it as a
artifacts. I
graphic we
like
post
that.
on socials,
Yeah,
right? Of like
absolutely, absolutely. It's a great
your
idea.
base model equals almost
Yeah,
always Google or Copilot, and here's the
right.
type of stuff very similar to what we just did with the haiku models.
Yep.
Here is where you should always default to these, and here is where you need to know your company's comfort, just like they would be comfortable with you or using or not using your own um emails or your own computer. Like that's when you get into what the company is comfortable with on using an additional AI that is only your personal one. They may opt
Yeah.
in, many should opt in to getting you a personal Claude for work. Absolutely they should. But I think it's important to note that like that's where that kind of goes into. You're going to
Yeah,
love what this just
exactly.
built.
Oh, I can't
This
wait to
is going
see
to be a
it.
great place to end on.
I
Okay,
like that
so
line. My brain works in artifacts is just like so it's truer than true about you. I love
that's
that.
very true for me. Okay, let me make sure our screen is set in a way that we can see it. Oh, I think we can.
Look
Okay.
at this.
So, I'm gonna move you so I don't look like I'm staring off to the
Yeah,
side.
yeah, no, go ahead. Pull me off. I want to see this full screen. It's really
Oh, I
cool.
didn't mean it like that. I'm literally moving my screen. That's funny though. Here, I can move us though. Let's take us we'll put us down here. Okay, so
This
really
is really
quickly,
cool.
I just started a new conversation. Again, this is all on my web app, right? So I'm still on my web app. I said I want to teach everyone on AI for Anyone Live how to build their own brand skill in Claude. We talked about how to add skills last week, where you can find connectors through MCP. Um, and I know that Claude can like install the skill for you now. And so I'm like, there's not even like a technical need here anymore because I get
Yes.
really confused when I'm trying to download the files. Skill files are weird, you guys. Like they're very weird. And so I do my best to build the skill as close to perfect in here. And then I go somewhere else.
Yeah.
um, it has Claude has a skill builder skill in it. So when you ask it to build a skill, it will literally pull that up for you. And so it's like reading all of my, relevant skills, building the human stack skill. I love that it looked at the Canva brand kit skill because I was trying to figure out how to make easy Canva
This
brand
is
kits
really
for all of our
cool.
clients.
Absolutely.
I will be honest, that Canva brand kit is not where I want it to be just yet, but
No, no. Canva, it's oh my gosh, we should have a whole episode on Canva.
it's
Anyway,
so
you got
true.
yeah, yeah.
So then this is an example of like Claude will ask you questions when it has it. So it said like, what format do you want? And I was like, I want a step by step web. Oh, I thought I deleted the word doc because it gave me a document. I was trying to figure out why.
Yeah,
I wanted an
right.
artifact, but that's okay.
Yep.
And then what level is the audience? I said they know Claude, but haven't built skills yet. That may not be true, but as far as where we are at with what we've taught, we know Claude. We sort of built skills last week. We talked about skills last week. Today we're building them and putting them into action. So then it kind of walks you through all this. I'm not going to worry about too much of this. This shows you, though, how powerful this document skill that Claude natively has. This is one like I am continually impressed by the skill or the demonstratives that this produces. Okay, so AI for anyone, build your like it. I don't know if I put that in the brand skill or what.
The what?
um, the
The logo?
logo
I thought you had to have because
because it doesn't just pull from
I,
the internet. So, but it doesn't have the
I'm
AI for anyone
super
live.
impressed for this.
So maybe
Really
it pulled it
impressed
from
for this.
Canva. Because we do have that in the brand kit in Canva. Anyway, so
Yeah, we
step by
do.
step
Yeah.
guide. So like this is something we should put on the email list. So anyone on your email list gets this, right? So it's like, what is it? What you'll need? which this is the biggest piece, right? Like get all of the stuff you need together. Love the pro tip.
I'm gonna put my okay. I'm putting my colors in here. I'm gonna put them in the chat so that we can see if it got the right colors. Right?
Oh, which
Yeah, it
chat?
did.
Oh, I know it
LinkedIn.
did. I pulled this from like your documents. This is not.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, I thought it did like a color check. Okay, cool.
No, 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 no. Your skill, I had all of
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
from.
Oh, yeah, good, cool.
And that's it. Actually took how I built the human set. So you can see it's like, hey, I'm going to see how you built. Oh, it didn't say that. When it was doing the thinking, it was like checking your human stack brand skill to see how you built it, so we can duplicate it for others. Basically,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
brand skill is a great example of like, okay, so now that you have documents, I mean, look at this. It's got a header on each of them. Like it's it's just very good, right? Some things that
The
I might.
front matter matters, but you don't have to know why or what to
I've
do with
never
it.
heard that term before whatsoever. I love that it
It's
put the
it's
trigger behind it.
yeah, totally. Right.
And like YAML, Jonathan Edwards said it last week too, and I was like, okay, I should know what that means. Still don't know what it means. I see it as a table of contents. It's basically like since there's so much context, the little YAML, wherever that lives and however it lives, it basically says if the query relates to this, go to this spot for your answer. That's how I
I'll bet
understand
you
it.
I'll bet you $10 Subash knows what YAML stands for.
Oh no, I'm not betting. Subash knows everything.
Right.
Subash, I'm coming to town
Subash,
later.
earn me
What did he
Subash,
put?
earn me $10 here. What does YAML mean?
You see what he put? He made us a nonprofit Claude skill.
Look at that. That is
Oh,
awesome.
Subash, I'll pull that in and
Love
we'll
this. Yeah, yeah, that's really cool.
I'll pull it in and
Um,
we can put that in our if you're okay with it, Subash, you can text me, but we'll put that in our follow-up notes. That's awesome.
can I
I'm gonna
give
put it
you
in text too.
can I just say really fast why skills matter compared to something like a custom GPT, which is
Can I
that
wait. Let me say
okay,
one
yeah.
last thing. Because this
All
is
right.
long, we don't need to go over the whole thing. What I would say is if you're like
This
this
is
feels like a
good.
lot, you're like if this feels like a lot, put it in Claude and say step by step walk me through all of the things I need to make this happen.
Yeah.
You don't need to read it. You should. You should know what you're doing.
All
But
right.
like,
I would have earned $10 on that if you had said yes. Nicely
dude,
done,
Subash knows
Subash. Thank you.
everything.
But that's the most
Every
developer thing I've ever read. Yet another markup language is like it is
Oh my
very
gosh.
how
You
development
want to hear
stuff
the
works.
sweetest thing about Subash? So he is from India
Mhm.
and he was a graduate student at Dakota State University. He worked in our office at the DSU Foundation. And one of our colleagues got married last year or the year before, and he had never been to an American wedding. And he brought her flowers. And I thought that was the sweetest thing. And obviously the woman, the bride loved it. Like, and we knew the bride and the groom, and they both actually worked in our office as well. And so, but Subash is like one of the most genuine humans ever. So I
Okay,
love when he
so
pops in our chat.
random fact, I have been to a an Indian wedding in the foothills of the Himalayas. And I will tell you that our weddings are completely boring.
I
Like
completely agree.
absolutely boring. So okay, I'd
Okay,
want to
tell me
say
about
this
skills.
about
Bring us
skills.
home.
Um, instead, so in ChatGPT and in Gemini, when you build like a gem or a custom GPT, you have to remember that you've built it, which is bad for people like you and me that build a bunch of stuff and then have no idea. You have to remember that you built it, and you have to
Oh,
remember when it
sorry,
applies or where it
Subash.
applies. And and so thanks for the correction,
That's such a
Subash
microaggression.
from Nepal. Yeah. And so the difference between skills and custom GPTs or Gemini or gems is that it will self-invoke them based on what's written in the YAML front
Mm.
matter, right? So it will look
Well,
through it
use
like
different language.
sorry, okay. In the header, the front matter just means header, right? So in
Or
the
like the
header,
text.
it looks through, yeah, yeah. It literally just reads that and it's like, oh, the skill does this, the skill does this, the skill does this. Can I use it whenever? Yes or no. And if it says no, then it can't self-invoke, right?
Mm,
And so
okay.
it will just decide, oh, this is the right skill for this thing. You don't have to be tracking which skill. You don't have to determine which skill. You, which is Really, really powerful because then it can self-identify and start using skills on its own. So that's why skills are so different. One last thing is that you can combine all of them, multiple skills inside of something called a plugin. And that plugin becomes really powerful because you can then package it.
I'm trying to hack plugins a little bit. I put Subhash's LinkedIn up in the corner
Yeah,
because I'm like, how do I make up for I knew he was from Nepal. I also love his little love story, and there's so many things, and the like white guilt is like that's such a microaggression to just be like, oh, he's from India. Um, but yeah, so people should go connect with Subhash. He's amazing, and
absolutely.
he works for Bulldog Media in Madison, and they are so lucky to have him. Like he is Tim, honestly, you should have him in your back pocket of like someone to help with some of the developer
Yeah,
stuff
I
last
just
minute.
messaged him in the background. So yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he's a
Yeah,
great human.
yeah,
And that also makes
right.
it so much easier to want to work with him. So, thank you to everybody
Okay,
that
yeah,
joined
bring
us
us home.
today. What'd you say?
Oh, you were. I just said, I just said what you just started to do, which is like
Hmm.
we gotta
Oh
land
yeah,
this
no, we got to
stuff.
wrap this up.
Oh, look at those eyebrows. Thank you for that.
They're very
Yeah,
expressive
there
today.
we go. Yeah, they are.
Tim,
They're all
it's
over the
so nice to
place.
have you back. We get a
Thanks.
lot less done, but we have a lot more fun.
Oh,
And right now,
that's
you guys,
perfect.
April's meant to be agentic April. Tim and I are gonna look into what that kind of looks like. So if you've got preferences or topics you want us to cover, let us know. If you want us to focus more in some of the Claude side of agentic April, I know Claude's been just really on the rise right now, and so if folks want to get in and check that out, we can definitely continue to expand using the Claude desktop. I think Cowork is one of the best examples of agentic use, and so there's some options there. Let us know what you guys want, and I will come up with a similar outro for us next week because
Okay,
I spent so
sounds
much time
good.
thinking about the intro. I didn't think about the
I
outro.
like the intro.
So,
That was great. Powered by AI and coffee. Wait, that background is cool. Is that new?
no, my
Okay.
boyfriend's mom got me that for Christmas. It's a bag, and I was like,
That is
"Look, I'm
very
probably not going to
cool.
use it
I
as a
like
bag
it.
a whole lot,
I
but
really
it's
like
such
it.
a fun little
It is a
and
perfect intro.
those are Lego
Yeah,
flowers. Why?
yeah.
On that note,
Thanks everybody for joining us. Yeah. Subash,
I think
Lisa,
the sign up is
Bonnie,
something like
Megan,
stay
so
curious and
happy.
stay human.
Yeah,
Don't you think?
yeah, yeah.
Something like that in the
I think
future.
so. I think so. Yeah.
Bye, friends. We'll
All
see you
right.
next week.
Bye, everybody.